anything if I bottle up my anger. I won't do who knows what to Trixie.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
What choice do I have? I've got to get that map back, and I don't want to lose Trixie. If she knew what I was thinking right now, she'd probably never talk to me again.
Okay, you do what you need to do. I'll see if I can find the map somewhere in the castle.
I'm sure we've had moments where we feel like we shouldn't express our anger towards someone. We may be angry because someone's wasting our time or money. We may be angry because someone isn't following directions. Or we may be angry because we feel like we're being disrespected. Even if we were taught not to rock the boat and make the best out of a sour situation, that doesn't mean we should ignore our angry feelings and shove them aside, because not only will you feel worse for ignoring your feelings, the person who is upsetting you won't understand that you're feeling upset to begin with. In this video, I like to discuss through the My Little Pony episode, All Bottled Up, why bottling up your emotions isn't always a good thing to do, and why we need to sometimes express our anger even in front of our friends and family. But I'm not alone. I have a special guest with us who will talk about this lesson with us. Say hello to a fellow PonyTuber and my new friend, Doc Anubis.
I didn't expect to get such a nice introduction, but I will definitely give a few points here and there. I struggled with anger issues when I was younger, so I related a lot to the events of the episode. Anger is hard to handle, so it's time to address this negative example and give some pointers from a perspective of someone who had to deal with anger in the past, but learned and improved. But it's not me we want to talk about, it's the episode, All Bottled Up.
In the episode, Starlight was giving Trixie magic lessons and thought it'd be a good idea to teach her while the main six were off on a friendship retreat. Though before they left for their friendship retreat, she was trying to make tea cakes to give to them, but Trixie ruined them as she was mindlessly practicing her magic. Starlight tried not to let her anger get to her at that moment, so she carried forward and instead gave the main six a bag of pretzels to make up for the tea cakes that she was originally going to give them. After that, Starlight and Trixie go back to Twilight's castle so Starlight could teach Trixie some magic spells in private. Trixie insisted on doing the teleportation spell, and she even wanted to teleport something impressive like Spike, for example. Though Starlight tried to calm her down and instead encouraged her to teleport an apple. Not a big deal, right? But instead of teleporting the apple, she ended up teleporting the cutie map table instead. A very important possession of Twilight and her friends.
Twilight's never gonna trust me to be alone in this castle again! What were you thinking?
Teleport, like you told me to.
No! You're supposed to concentrate on the object, not just teleporting!
This led to Starlight feeling anxious because she knew Twilight would get upset that they lost the cutie map. And as much as Starlight wanted to express how angry she was at Trixie for not following her directions to teleport the apple, she was afraid that her cloud of anger would do something that she regrets. Now this is something we should address. Notice how Starlight gets angry and that she expresses that through the red cloud coming out of her horn. Why I bring this up is because it shows that anger is a natural feeling to have. It's normal to feel mad at something or someone that upsets you, and there's no reason why you should hide that. But in Starlight's case, she feels conflicted to show Trixie that she's angry not just because she's afraid of what it could do, but also because she's afraid that Trixie may not want to be friends with her anymore if she gets mad at her. Also a valid point, so she tries to find some way to compromise her anger while not letting it out on Trixie. So her solution to that? Well, she decides to bottle up her anger. Literally even. That way she can ignore how angry she feels and be a good friend to Trixie by not getting mad at her. It sounds like a good strategy for now, but it won't work for long. Care to share the next part, Doc?
The lost map is an understandable reason to be angry. A mishap can happen, that's not a big deal. What is frustrating is Trixie's attitude afterwards. She doesn't feel any remorse, she just moves on. It's a perfect setup for Starlight's anger to rise. And that attitude sticks around all throughout the search for the map. Trixie never seems to take it seriously, just walking around aimlessly. At least from Starlight's perspective. And that perspective is what matters. You may see something from your anger-clouded side, which in the end is absolutely different from what everyone else sees. At this point, every little thing infuses her anger more. It's the first sign of bottling it up. It stresses you and makes you even more prone to triggers. and Trixie's careless nature definitely belongs in that category. She also gets more and more exhausted in the process, perfectly showing how draining it is to keep anger in. She is even unable to use magic at that point. Emotions are magic in this universe, which makes bottling them up even more devastating. She didn't only use up all her physical energy, but her emotional and magical energy as well, which then again fits into the real world. When your anger takes over and is bottled up deep inside you, you barely feel any other emotions, and only letting them out in a healthy way can help you recover. Here, she forces the emotions out with magic, not even getting rid of them. They are still there, just less apparent. She is basically keeping the emotions around, just hiding them from herself and others. It's like masking your actual feelings in our world, and to such a degree that even you don't see them anymore. That is the danger of it. You may think they are gone, but in truth, they are just building up pressure inside of you, until it bursts and everything comes out at once.
You ruined my tea cakes!
What?
You just had to give Twilight those smelly pretzels!
Were they your pretzels? I don't understand.
You don't pay attention when I'm trying to teach you!
That is what happens here. It's out of Starlight's control, and she can only watch as everything explodes. And the other ponies take out Starlight's anger on Trixie. Usually it would be the angry person who can't take it anymore and freaks out. But the results are the same. All the repressed feelings get out at the same time, causing a never-before-seen amount of simultaneous anger that results in an otherwise unimaginable act. Like physical violence, as we see here, which is definitely the worst that can happen, but sadly pretty common. It has come to the combination of physical and mental attacks that could have been avoided if it had been talked about in a civil manner before it reaches the breaking point. And those hit the unsuspecting Trixie. She didn't even realize that Starlight had this kind of anger, because nobody ever told her. The signs that she should have seen were purposefully hidden by Starlight. She literally did everything she could to not make her see it, which is why Trixie's confusion is immeasurable. It's overplayed here because it's others voicing Starlight's dark thoughts, but not as far from reality as one might think. This explosion of feelings would make anyone baffled and confused, not to mention scared. That's why they need to have a proper talk now, which I will give back to you, Samek.
It was at that moment that Starlight decided to confess to Trixie about what she's been feeling toward her. She didn't want to see Trixie get hurt like she was by the ponies possessed by her feelings. So she had no choice but to actually tell her what she was feeling so she could finally let go of her anger. Sure, her fear was still there that Trixie wouldn't accept her as a friend anymore for letting her anger out at her. But she had to put her trust in herself and in Trixie that she would listen to her. Surprisingly, she did. And not just that, Trixie also came to understand Starlight better. She understood that there are certain boundaries that she shouldn't cross with Starlight, which at the end of the day makes her friendship stronger.
Why didn't you just tell me how you felt? I didn't want to lose you as a friend.
Come on! It'd take a lot more than that to lose me. Our friendship is stronger than a few angry words.
And a magical temper tantrum?
Listen, I'd take that over the boring pony you were becoming any day.
There are actually a couple things I can think of as to why letting out your emotions to others, even if they're not good ones, is a good thing. One is that when you actually communicate what you're feeling to others, you're getting a point across to them that they need to change their behavior to not make you feel offended or angry. The other thing is that you're standing up for yourself and looking out for your well-being. True, we may not want to hurt the other person's feelings by letting out our anger, but as we've seen in this episode, everyone gets hurt when we bottle up our emotions. I remember when I was angry at my parents, for example. Living with your parents as an adult can be frustrating. What I had a really hard time with is feeling like I've lost my independence while living with them. I didn't want to complain because I feared that I'd come across as selfish to them. But keeping my anger toward them bottled up was not helping me nor them. I'd end up showing my anger in subtle ways toward them, and I'm sure that they acknowledged that I wasn't happy. I even recall one time when I even yelled at my mom, even over something small. It took me some time talking with my therapist to understand that why I was feeling so angry was because I wasn't communicating my anger toward my family. Had I just told them what I was feeling when I originally felt angry with them, I wouldn't have gotten to the point where I'd be yelling at them or even holding on to dark thoughts about them. I'd share more, but it's a little too personal for me right now. In due time, I might talk more about it. What about you, Doc? What are your thoughts on bottling up emotions?
Bottling up anger is dangerous. If you do it and hide it, even from your closest friends, it will eventually come back to haunt you. Or them. I have experienced it myself, and can safely say it's scary. True anger that you gathered over time and bottled up can come out completely unprompted, when the smallest thing pushes you over the edge. Be it someone actually trying to hurt you, or just a small joking remark. When the pot is boiling, just a small bit of extra heat can make it explode. Even the angry person themselves is often scared of this. In my own experience, losing control and lashing out at my friends is the biggest nightmare I ever had. I'm a pretty big guy, and when I actually lose control, I could actually hurt someone. Point is, this can be prevented by properly sharing and letting those feelings out, in a healthy manner. I bottled up my feelings for too long, because I was scared of hurting people, ignoring how it was hurting my own mental health, and whoever was closest when I finally snapped. Now I talk to my friends, vent, get advice, and I do the same for them. This is how I healed and got over my anger issues. And whatever you are struggling with, there's always a healthy way out.
I love is passionate, lively, and yeah, sometimes angry. Those are my favorite parts of you. That, and the fact that you forgive me every time.
Thanks for collaborating on this video with me, Doc. This is my first time collaborating with another PonyTuber, actually. It's been awesome. And for those of you who don't know Doc Anubis, feel free to check out his channel. If you're a fan of MLP G4, G5, he's got videos for you. Anything else you'd like to add, Doc?
You pretty much summed it up. Lots of MLP on my channel, especially comics, and even some other franchises since recently. Just whatever I have fun with. But that's all from me. Thank you for having me on this Samic. It was a pleasure working with you. And as you always say, we are eternal for life.
As for y'all, thanks for watching, and as always, we are eternal for life.